Hello and welcome to my channel. This video is part of a monthly card making hop hosted by Cecilia at Valley Oak Paper. The theme for February is celebrating friendship. Stay tuned to see how I made this beautiful card. For this card, I used Altenews watercolor flower set. Both the embossing folder and the stencil. I first embossed my paper off camera, and then I lined up each individual stencil to assemble the flowers as you see here. The very first color that I used was the Victorian Velvet of the Distress Oxide inks. I then layered it with an additional layer of the Victorian Velvet and then followed it with the Festive Berries. Cleaned my stencil each time to ensure that it's nice and ready for the next time that I use it. And then I went in with the Lumberjack Plaid Distress Oxide ink for the final dark piece of the reds for this cluster of flowers. I then went in with some purple, starting with the Seedless Preserves and then Dusty Concord. I did the Dusty Concord 2 different times. I decided that it wasn't quite the level of purple that I was looking for the final layer. You'll see here in a moment. I'll do it one more time with the Dusty Concord and then decide, hey, I need a little bit more. Here you're also seeing me try to align it and just make sure that I have the stencils in the proper space. Again, I decided I wanted a little more purple, so I did take out some of my Memento purple ink for a little bit more depth. Then I started to prepare for my different sets of greens, still using those Distress Oxides. The first one I went in there with was Mowed Lawn, and then I lined up my stencils for the next set of green, which was Rustic Wilderness that you see here. I then lined up my stencil after cleaning it and followed it up with Lucky Clover. So far, 3 different greens. Now, I was undecided if the following leaf petals would be green as well. And I decided that I did want a lighter shade of green to help balance out the rest of the colors, and I picked the Cracked Pistachio. I absolutely love how this ended up coming out with the rest of the green colors and those pinks and those purples. It really set it apart and balanced each of it. I did go back in with some Lucky Clover for some fine details, a smaller blending brush to add a little bit more depth to the colors. Now, I just love how this embossing folder looks. All of those details, it is a 3D embossing folder. All of the different colors on there. I found that it does help to emboss the paper first and then go back in to do your color stencils. Next, I am preparing my sentiment. So you can see to the left there, I did heat emboss with white Gina K heat embossing powder multiple times using a Hero Arts mix and match sentiment set. You Are Such a Lovely. And then I paired that with the Friend Sentiment from Altenews Timeless Sentiments die set, using some Hero Art shimmer paper that I had from one of my previous Hero Art monthly card clubs kits. I had some left over in my scrap pile, and I just thought that purple looked lovely with the rest of the colors and really helped bring that balance of adding more purple to the flowers, which purple is one of my favorite colors, so it definitely probably helped contribute to my choosing of this particular color as well. I do apologize if I feel a little stuffy in this video. I'm just starting to get a little bit of the snifflies, so hopefully it's nothing. So here I am. I just glued it with my Tombow adhesive, press it down. I did die cut multiple layers of the shadow die, but only one layer of the actual word die. So it is stacked. I know it's hard to see right here, but it has, I believe it's 4 different layers of the shadow die, and then I used dimensional tape to add that black sentiment strip there. I couldn't decide if I wanted to keep it the original way that I had intended, as you've seen in the beginning of the photos. So I did move it around a little bit, trying to decide if that would be the final result, and I decided that it would be, and I just loved how that turned out. So before we conclude with this card, I did want to just give a quick shout out to Cecilia and thank you for allowing me to participate in this new YouTube monthly hop. Cecilia is a crafty friend of mine who I did have the opportunity to meet on Instagram this past year. She's participated in my very first series of Instagram hops, including Sharing Spring, which we will be starting up again here this next month. And I'm just really excited to join this YouTube hop with her and some of my other crafty friends. So there are a few other crafty friends that are listed here. We have Touch of Magic, Kelly Santis, Renee, and I know that I'm missing somebody else. I apologize. Let me look. There's a total of 5 of us. I'm so silly. I was forgetting to count myself. Wow. Could have had a V8. So all 5 of us will be participating in this YouTube hop. It is a monthly hop that's taking place this year for 2024. We have quite a bit of different themes that we're excited to share with you, but the very first one was celebrating friendship, and I couldn't think of a better theme for the month of February. Here I am just wrapping up that card. I decided to go with a purple card base. So I'm just gluing in and adhering it to the front of the card in this image and preparing to just finalize it and get it all ready to send out to a future friend. Hopefully whoever does end up receiving this card will love it as much as I did. I look forward to making more cards like this. Altenew certainly makes it easy with their stencil sets as well as all of their coordinating sets. So I did not use the stamp in this card specifically, but the watercolor flowers, it has a beautiful stamp set that goes with the embossing folder and the stenciling. So just really to give that final outline of the card in itself. So I'll have to use that in a future card because I just love how beautiful these flowers are. It just turned out so nice. One final thing I felt that it needed was just a little bit of splatter of some of the different coordinating colors. So I took out some metallic watercolors here. I wanted to cover up my sentiment. I didn't want the splatters to get all over the sentiment as well and take away from that. But I decided on some teal, some purple, and a little bit of white to splatter alongside this card. It's very hard to get on video, the metallic splatter dots, but I'll tell you, it looks so pretty in person. The way that it turned out, I was very, very satisfied with all of the splatter marks. They just felt just right. And if you've experienced with the splattering or if you've played around with any type of mixed media at all, you'll know that it can be a little adventurous, not always knowing what you're going to end up getting, but it definitely is always fun. I do love to add this little tiny touch to my cards. I've found myself doing it a lot more lately than I used to, but it just gives it a little added interest, and it's definitely fun to do. It does make a bit of a mess, so be prepared. I usually do have what I call my splatter box, but I mistakenly did not think ahead and didn't add this into it. So I had little metallic splatters all over my craft space. But we made it work. It was fun. I did end up putting a few on top of that sediment in white, so it helped it blend in just a little bit. And then I went in with my heat gun and I just heat set all of those little splatters. That way it would be ready sooner. This is not something that you have to do, but it does help speed up the process um, to complete that card and get it ready for whatever you have next. Just making sure that there's not any smudges going to happen from those different splatters and all of that good stuff. And at that point, after heat setting it, I did decide that I wanted to add just one final touch of some gemstones. This is me trying to decide if I wanted to use those green gemstones or if I wanted to go with these unicorn drops from Trinity Stamp, which I just love. I find myself grabbing these quite frequently. Fun fact is always go with an odd number when you are applying the rhinestones. Try to stay away from the even numbers and stick with the odd numbers. I did use a rhinestone to fill in the dot for my eye because it did get lost. This is pretty common when you are using word dyes, so just be aware. And then I just added a handful of different gemstones from Trinity Stamps to give that final polished touch, and I just love how it came out. I hope that you like this too. While as I'm finishing this up and cleaning up my gemstones because I need one of those cool little bowls, I just, feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, feel free to head to my Instagram if you haven't already and check us out there, and be sure to check all of my friends' cards out too. I think that you'll be thoroughly impressed with all of the celebrating friendship cards from our February YouTube card hop, the very first one, and we look forward to March. Thank you.